You mentioned Skubal. Let's talk Tarik Skubal. I always call him Tariq for some reason.
I don't know what it is. It looks like Tarik and Skubal, but I'd like to say his name correctly, but I just don't know how to say it correctly.
I kept hearing people say, white people on TV say Tarik Skubal, and we could always trust white people on MLB broadcasts. That's what I've learned.
Every time.
Every
Reggae
time.
singer, let's go.
So the report is that the Detroit Tigers are looking for a Juan Soto type haul if they were to move Tarik Skubal, which it seems like it would be a dumb move of them to move their Cy Young Award frontrunner candidate, a homegrown type of dude. But on the other hand, if you can get, all of the King's horses and all the King's men bringing you everything that they have in their organization to get your one guy, and that's the other thing we've heard is like sometimes there are a team can be overwhelmed to make a move to get a Tarik Skubal. Do you think the Dodgers could or should go all in? They have the prospects to do it. Should they go all in? They can even throw in Gavin Lux for us. Go all in on Tarik Skubal.
All right, so you're not gonna totally like my answer.
Okay.
But it depends. It depends on what Andrew Friedman is seeing out of Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Kershaw, Buehler, all of those guys. If he doesn't think that at least two, if Glasnow and Yamamoto are not going to come back healthy, and he doesn't think that either one of them are going to be the pitcher that they need to be in the postseason, because they see it all. They know what's going on. What they put out into amongst everybody else is not what we hear. So if there's some sort of feeling that maybe those guys will not be coming back, or even two or three of those guys are not going to be coming back the way that we hope, like Miller and Buehler, I have no faith in they come back the way that they're supposed to. So I almost push them to the side. If they feel like a couple of them are not going to come back, yes,
yeah,
absolutely, 100%, go all in, get him. Now, if they feel those guys are going to come back, you don't have to go all in.
Yeah, I could see that, but there's also we have 2 weeks to know that whether any of these guys are going to come back, and even if Yamamoto. I'm trying to back up from that ledge. Even if Yamamoto has a good next week and a half in his rehab, and he's throwing and he's progressed to live BP, and we're talking about a rehab assignment, but then he's on that rehab assignment and he's got to shut it down. But it's also now it's August 8th while he's starting it. Then we're like, fuck, you had to go and get that guy. So that's like that, Tarik Skubal being on the roster and then Yamamoto coming back. That sounds like a pretty damn good problem to have. But, like you said, there's some of these other guys. Maybe there is Buehler. Maybe he figures it out as he goes on his little spirit quest or whatever he's doing. You're not.
Sorry. Hate to break it to you.
No?
Hate to break it to you. He's not going to figure it out.
Dang it. I was hoping. I had high hopes on the butane. Of course, I got to do a little housekeeping. I got to tell you that BetOnline is the world's most trusted platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball, Formula One racing. BetOnline has every stat, as you guys know by now, every matchup, even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. And after a game, you can go over to BetOnline. You can get in on a nice game of blackjack. There's poker there, over 150 slot games. Head to the website today. Get in on the action. Use our promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV. You get a 50%, I already said it, I'll tell you again, 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250 American dollars. I don't know, maybe they do other currency, but I just threw that in there. BetOnline, the game starts here. What was it? Swelling Sausage, I think it was, saying, how do you, like same thing you were saying, Greg, how do you commit, $1 billion and not go all in? And this team usually, this front office goes all in when the timing is right and there's a very, very clear need. You and I saw that together when we were covering the team in 2018. They had a clear need at shortstop. Who did they go get? They traded all of their King's horsemen and men to get Manny Machado. Granted, it didn't work out all that well, but that was a huge package of prospects that didn't damage the team at all. Right. I think they could do something like that where yeah, we're gonna sit here and be like, oh no, not Landon Knack and Diego Cartaya and three other or four other people.
Justin Robleski and
Robleski. Robleski, maybe he's got an opportunity. I think the Dodgers have gotten a lot better at finding and creating and drafting pitching. If we can find a way to mix in the change of scenery for Gavin Lux in there, maybe some Outman because they need a replacement or they need a center fielder or something like that. I guess I'll jump away from that one. Are there any untouchables? I know you're not like a massive prospect hugger, but are there any untouchables in this organization to you?
So I know the ones that I've heard of that they really do not want anybody to touch, and I don't know why they want to touch him if he's not even being talked about coming up. The Josue DePaula, I know they absolutely love him. It seems like Dalton Rushing is very much another one of those guys that seems to be untouchable. It was Diego Cartaya, and then he kind of fell off, and now they magically pushed him up to AAA right around the trade deadline.
You earned it, buddy.
Yeah, good job. I feel like those two guys would be two of them. There's the first baseman, third baseman. I'm blanking on his name. Oh shoot! I'll think about it. It'll come to me.
Lipsius? Are you talking about
Lipsius? Lipsius. I think they absolutely love Andre Lipsius. So some of these dudes, I don't know if they'd be untouchable, but the fact is, like we've been talking about it before, these are guys that they feel like if they have to move them, they would. But Dalton Rushing, I feel like would be that guy that if they want, you don't need a catcher, right? But
no,
you kind of do. But you kind of do because Will Smith cannot be your catcher for the next 10 years. I know he's a 10-year deal, but he's not going to be that guy. There's not a lot of Yadier Molinas out there for the most part, and you can't put him in a DH role because that's Shohei. So the fact that as great as we are, we love Shohei, and we absolutely do love Shohei, big Shohei fan. He takes away your DH spot, being able to move guys around into that DH spot. So you'd have to move into the first base spot when eventually Freddie Freeman is no longer playing well and is no longer here. So there's a little bit of back and forth. Do you have to keep that catcher in waiting, still in waiting?
But even with that, there's two schools of thought I have with that. Is one, we see a lot of organizations going with like the 1A, 1B catcher, just so we don't see Willie going out there and playing in 125 games. However, they need his bat in the lineup for 120, 130 games or whatever it is. So losing that DH spot definitely hurts the team long term. But you always, anytime you can get Shohei, you go get Shohei. The other side of it is Will's going to be there for a hot minute. We had him on Dodgers territory shortly after he inked that deal, and I asked him, point blank, how long are you going to be catching? Are you going to be, there a catcher, in year 9, year 10 of the deal? And he says he's catching until the wheels, fall off. So at some point, like happens often with this organization, do you let Dalton Rushing age out of like a top prospect status because you wanted to kind of just hoard him, or do you try to move on, draft another guy and trade your best assets to try to win now? And we know if we're talking Skubal will be around next year as well, and you're adding that bona fide front of the rotation guy, and you're also committing to Shohei Ohtani. Look, we are all in. When we tell you we're all in, we're not doing it like Artie Moreno and getting other teams scraps. We want the best to go out there and win a World Series. So
I think that's a great point, by the way. It's showing Shohei that you're not that organization, that you're not Artie Moreno. I think it's a great point. They did it in the offseason, and by spending all that money to get everybody, including Teoscar Hernandez, now they have to see, show them, hey, we came here to have you win championships for us. Whatever we have to do, we're going to do. So moving those prospects, what you have to do, because they are, like you said before, also, they're really good at building that farm system up. Even after moving guys, they always still have a top 10 farm system.
Yeah, I mean, at worst, I think when they made the deal 21, when they got Trey Turner and Scherzer, it took a little bit of a hit, but right back, a year later, they were in the top 10 of pipeline or whatever you want to call it. So I'm okay. To me, you mentioned Josue DePaula, and that's another name I would wager. I would ask you to ask Bruce about tomorrow on Blue Review, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time on ESPN LA radio, or the YouTube channel, or also on Twitter. You guys stream on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
I would argue for me, DePaula's the one guy who's kind of the most untouchable, just because, talking about it a little bit ago, there's not a whole lot of outfield depth. Not now, not down the road. So you need somebody like that. However, if somebody asks for him, and I I did a little F round and find out, piggybacking off Cody Snavely, who tweeted something about, hey, maybe there's a reality where the Tigers look to get out from under that Javi Baez contract and have this whole another version of Mookie Betts and David Price, they pay some money or whatever. If you're able to save, the point I'm getting to is you're able to save some of these big-time prospects while using some of that financial might, and they have more financial might, I would say, than ever after committing all this money because of all of the advertisers we see them keep getting. They are so G. They are sponsoring their own Tokyo series. How about that? Did you see that?
That's what it was? Is that what came out with it? I mean, again, I was in
Guggenheim.
Vegas, so I was not paying attention to any news whatsoever the last 2 days. Is that what it is? They're sponsoring their own?
They're sponsoring the series. Guggenheim Partners is sponsoring that series. Or Guggenheim. It just says Guggenheim. I don't know if it's Guggenheim Partners.
Got that G on the show.
Got the G. They sponsor their own team, and they're sponsoring the series. They got money. They got the bank. They can acquire some guys if they're like, oh, yeah, you want us to take Baez for you? We got this. Don't worry about it, but we're keeping DePaula. Showtime LA says DePaula is only not untouchable if it's for Skubal, and I think I agree with that as well.